we get these games the way we've had, and it was a factor. They played good. They're a 68% free throw shooting team. They hit 24, 25. And the only thing that bothered me was I wouldn't have minded as after the game went on, we dragged down, but when the game started, we dragged down. I mean, we got down 11-0, and really that's the way the game stayed. It wasn't an 18-point game, and it wasn't a 4-point game or whatever we got it down to. It was an 8, 9, 10-point game the whole way, and that's the way it started. And that was disappointing because there was no excuse. We gave up some threes, and they haven't been, a couple of those guys weren't shooting as good from the three, and they did. And the free throw line was a joke. I mean, we hit, one guy was 48% and hit 2, and we missed a bunch of free throws. We missed some front ends of 1-and-1, and we tried to come back a couple times, but two best players struggled. They struggled because I played them 40 minutes and 38 minutes, and I've, tried to beat the hell out of them, and that is my fault. But I had to do what I had to do, and then we had a couple guys that rose up a little bit. I thought Malik and Joey, played very well, considering, and we had some strange lineups in there. But Rocky got in foul trouble, and he didn't play that good. And when he got in foul trouble, I tried the freshman, but ended up putting Josh there, and now we have our whole lineup's changed, and it was just disappointing that we started out like we did. Also disappointing that we finished like we did because it looks like a blowout, but who knows? If they think the net is the thing to do and it makes a difference, I so disagree with that. But hey, we didn't do our job. We didn't win the game. Goals haven't changed. Situation I talked to my guys privately about 6 games ago hasn't changed one bit. And we got to go home and beat Indiana, and that's what we're going to try to do.
First question comes from Stoney.
Yeah, Coach, how much of the game was their good defense interior, or you guys settling and us missing jumpers?
Yeah, I thought we settled, and I didn't think we moved the ball, and I think we moved bodies. I mean, to me, that was the worst first 6 minutes that we played all year, in a couple of years. I mean, I just thought we were standing around. Was it because we were – I don't know why. Then we started moving the ball around, but we settled for threes a little bit too much, and Aaron's were right on. Josh's were pretty much on. They were just short, and that was the story of the night. And but I thought – they did a good job. I think you got to give them credit. They made free throws. They made threes. I'll try to keep where you can see my head. I don't know why. I don't really enjoy seeing my head either. So I don't know why. I'll do whatever I got to do for you guys. But I was just disappointed in that start. And plus, Josh and Aaron gave me everything they could. I thought Joey and Malik did, and I thought some other guys just didn't play as well as I was hoping they'd play.
Next, we'll go to Chris Solari.
Hey, Tom, you mentioned that about beating the hell out of Josh and Aaron. I saw you gave him a little bit of rest towards the end. I mean, do you at this point, is it just a mind over matter thing for these guys down the stretch with these games coming up? Or how do you deal with that potential for fatigue?
Well, it's not mind over matter. It's real. I mean, I don't know. Did Maryland play last Saturday or Sunday? Sunday. And I mean, get a couple of days off and I thought they played good. I mean, it's, I've been for this play every game. So there's no excuse on it, but there's a reality to it. And so the reality is we were in 2 of the toughest games ever, and I think it took something out of those guys. We tried to really dummy down what we did the other day, the best we could. But it was, the other hard thing is when you have a 1 or 2 day prep for a team you haven't played all year, it'll be a little easier for Indiana. A 1 day prep, if we get home at a decent time tonight, it'll be a little easier because we've already played them. But when you have, we're going to have a 1 day prep for Michigan. We have a 1 day prep or 2 day prep for Maryland. It was really 1 day because we couldn't do anything one of the days. That's hard. So, isn't mind over matter. They gave me everything they could give me. It's the reality of what we're going through, and we got to get them freshened up somehow because they got still a lot to play for, if you ask me.
Next, we'll go to Lindsey Huddleston.
Hey, Tom, talk about playing from behind. I know it's never by design, but you've had some success these last few games playing from behind. But can you talk about the fine line between playing from behind and having success representing a never quit attitude, but also that we can turn it on when we need to attitude?
Yeah, it was funny. 'Cause at least we were down 4 or 5. When we cut it to 5, Aaron tried to make a big play, but it was 1-on-4, and then, he missed the shot, and then they get a layup on the other end. I mean, that was the lack of having a true point guard in there, and we were trying to organize something, and it didn't get organized. And again, nobody's fault as far as those guys go, but I don't think they tried to turn it on. I think that we got ambushed at the beginning. They made their threes, they made free throws. There was a time I think they had made 4 threes and 6 free throws or something. And this is not the greatest free throw shooting team. So, and then in that same time, we had missed a couple front ends of a 1-on-1. And you can't do that if you're us. We're not that talented right now or that good to be able to do that. So, that we can work on, but there's no excuse for the start. I give them some credit, but just standing around and that if that would have happened in the second half, I would have felt a little different about it. But it really ticked me off the way we started out, because that's the way the game went. The game might as well ended 3 minutes into the game. It was really the same as it was the end of the game.
Next question, we'll go to Rico Cooney.
Hey, Tom, I think I know and understand how you feel about the possibility of fatigue and tired, because Aaron talked about just shots were short and everything, but I'm going to switch up a little bit. Talk about, Joey kind of working himself back into being Joey these last few games.
God, positive question. Not that you guys have been negative. I'm just kidding you. I really felt good about Joey. He not only hit some threes, if he had made those 2 free throws, he would have had 13 or 15 points. He actually played more physical inside. He gets 8 rebounds. He guarded people a little better. I think that's a good way to put it. He's working himself out of some things. Nothing's been easy through all this, but that was a very encouraging. And I do think Malik played a little better. The guy that got tired so early and we never put him back in was Julius. He was just out of it after like 4 minutes. And I don't know for what reason, but because he's a great kid. I always have worried about his conditioning some, but and that's the problem. Some guys need more conditioning. Some guys need less at this time of year. And if you don't practice hard, you get less. But I thought Joey, and I thought Malik was second in there.
There were some spots this game, key possessions, key moments where I'm guessing shot selection probably wasn't what you were looking for. Maybe too early in the shot clock, not the best look. Is that mental thing? Was it frustration? Was it coming from behind? Where do you kind of?
Well, I think lack of, sometimes we didn't have a real point guard in there, and that was some of it. We were trying to run some things with so many bizarre lineups in there at times, especially we haven't played much with both Malik and Joey, and we tried some different things, and because we were not moving so well. But you're right, when we cut it down to 5 or 6 or 7, I thought we took some ill-advised shots early in the shot clock. And they weren't awful shots. They were shots that we weren't making all day. And I wanted to get to the hole. I thought a couple times we tried to and just either didn't get the call or didn't get the bucket. And but yeah, it was that's too many threes for us to take, especially the way we're shooting them. And then we tried to play catch up at the end. So I would agree with your assessment of that. I thought there were some average shots, and for the most part, I mean, one thing about Aaron, even though he's our leading scorer, he does not force many shots. And today, in fact, if there's one thing, Josh will take a few, but Josh took a few today that were right there, and it reminded me of his first 3 games back. Iowa, Ohio State, and Rutgers. He was falling a little bit, and they were right on, just short. And I'm not sure it was fatigue. I think maybe he just couldn't get the lift, so couldn't jump over a guy. So a lot of his shots, he was falling backwards. And if you remember back to that big shot against Ohio State late in the game, he just pulled up, straight down. So I think I don't know if that was fatigue. You have to ask those guys. I even hate using the word, but I can't think of any time in my career where I played this many games and this many big games and this many kind of games in such a short period of time.
All right, we have 2 final questions. We'll start with Matt Charbonneau and wrap up with Wojo.
Tom, I know you don't want to make the mistakes or the things you do today and just not learn from them, but is there anything to be said with this quick turnaround of kind of saying, taking this game today and just kind of throwing it out and moving forward, kind of getting past it quicker than maybe if you had 3-4 days in between games?
I will do that now. To be honest with you, I took a little more time in the locker room because I was disappointed in that beginning. And I think, you got to learn from that stuff. But you're right. It's not like we're going to go home and watch any film on this game because we just don't have time to. But that's the other negative of schedules like this. I guess I have a chance to correct and get the AU stuff out of their brain on some of the shots and some of the situations. So, yeah, I mean, is there any advantage? There's never an advantage to having 1-day preps. Never. I mean, that was a rule in this league for every year that I've been in it. But it's not anybody's fault either. It's not the Big Ten's fault. It's COVID's fault. So we should all gang up on COVID and blame them. It was nobody's fault. I probably could have opted out of some games. But I didn't want to. My guys wanted to play every game they could play. And so, we got to deal with it. And we will deal with it. And we're going to be ready to play Tuesday, I promise you. There'll be no 11-0 start on Tuesday.
And we'll wrap up with Bob Wojnarowski.
Hey, Tom, you've been very consistent and persistent talking about you don't want the tournament streak to weigh on players and just don't worry about that. But sometimes when the elephant is in the room, it's there no matter what. Do you think beyond the fatigue that is a pressure that no matter what you say, they feel it a little bit or no?
Bob, I don't think so because I'm one thing I'm decent at. There's only about 2 or 3 things. But one of them is I address the elephants in the room. I really do. And there's probably 2 elephants in my rooms right now. It's not just one. There's a couple different elephants in that room. And we talked about it. We talked about it 6 games ago. I gave them some scenarios. I did some things behind closed doors that, just because I think I understood. But Twitter is a whole nother animal. I mean, hell, I should quit tomorrow if my buddies tell me what's on Twitter. And but I can take it at my age. I don't know if they can. And that's a very good question. But I told them, records are made to be broken. Streaks are made to end. That can't be what we're playing for. What we're playing for is to get our seniors into the NCAA tournament. What we're playing for is to get better each and every game. I'm upset for AP. I'm upset for Keith Appling. I'm not upset for me. And so I hope those guys take this kind of stuff, that it means something to them. I don't want them to think about the program. There's too much weight on there. You know, this has been the most bizarre year ever. And that wouldn't be fair to them. So is it weighing on them? I don't know. You should ask them. I don't think so. I really don't, because we've talked about it more than a little, but yet I haven't harped on it every day. I addressed the elephant in the room. I did it about 3 years ago at Nebraska, addressed the elephant in the room. I'm not a good guy for holding anything back. And so I did talk to him about it, and I was honest with him. I was real with him, which this day and age, nobody's real with anybody. And they understand. Our thing hasn't changed a bit as far as what I think we have to do to get into that tournament. You know, and I am a little upset about the net thing, because everybody keeps bringing up the net thing. So instead of beating Notre Dame by 28, we beat them by 10 because I put subs in. You know, I thought we got rid of that crap back when Oklahoma was beating people 88-0. You know, I'm never gonna run up scores or do that stuff, get guys fired. That would be my only thing. And I think we're as good as a lot of teams. I don't think we're a lot better than some teams. I think we dug ourselves a hole. I look back on that Purdue game. We said it then, that could haunt us. It could, but we still have 3 opportunities ahead of us. We don't have to win every game. We got to win some games. You can predict. What's the name can predict? Joe Lenardi. John Doe can predict. If anybody can predict what's going to happen in this pandemic year, and who says that somebody's not going down and doesn't even get to play in the thing, you know? So we're just going to keep battling. And trust me when I say this, we played after the bad start. We hung in there. We cut it back. Guys were, you know, real positive about what we could do. And then we, you know, that last run, we cut it to 5 and took a couple of bad shots, and, you know, they hit a couple of threes and made every free throw, and it just got away at the end. So if that hurts us, so be it. I think we've shown that we can compete with a lot of teams. I think we went through a tough stretch and we came back just like Baylor and everybody else does. It'll be interesting to see what committees think of that. You know, do they put COVID the same place they would put injuries? COVID's worse than injuries because they last forever. And, but you know what? I really don't think, Bob, that my guys know where they're at, and they've been told where they're at, and they've been told the opportunities they have. And the pressure would come from Twitter, my favorite subject on the planet. It wouldn't come from me. It wouldn't come from my former players. It wouldn't come from my assistant coaches. It would come from the idiots out there that have no clue what's going on. And that's all I can say about that. So I hope not, but you can ask those guys that. They're available to you, I think. So I appreciate it, guys. We're going to
Thanks,
find a way to get back. Yes.
Yep, I said thanks.
You're welcome. Take care.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap us here today. Appreciate you guys hanging with us. We'll see you Tuesday.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Matt.
Matt.
Thanks, Matthew.